Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Kicking Tires podcast. It's I haven't actually done an intro. That's just me talking like that. That's because today I am your solo host on what we're calling a flash episode, which is code for the three of us are super busy, and I am solo. I have a mustache now because it's November, so it's been a week. And it will be a week. Next week we'll be back on schedule. But as of right now, we have a slew of games to cover. This episode is coming out to you late, and it will be delayed. Fortunately, we're still new, so there's not that many consistent listeners. So I'm not really apologizing to anyone right now. Um, Seeing as this is going to be a quicker episode, I'm going to focus on some key storylines, overarching themes that I've noticed, and a little bit less of the game to game and the nitty gritty kind of. We'll keep this a general episode. We'll try to keep it fairly light. I'm, again, solo hosting, so, we'll see what we can do. We are progressively getting less and less time from our other co hosts. So, if you're watching this on YouTube, let me know if I should shave this. I think the answer is yes. If you're listening to this somewhere else, imagine a white guy with a mustache and think about if he should shave it. I'm not opposed to the answer now. All right, let's get into the actual hockey talk. The Red Wings had a pretty average week, I want to say, not because they played particularly poorly. I just think that they kind of played like every game was kind of like a very predictable result. Um, since we were with you guys last, Detroit went into St. Louis. They handled business there pretty nicely before heading to LA. They dropped a game there. Or sorry, they almost dropped a game there before coming back on a coach's challenge to win that one. And then they were playing a back-to-back in Anaheim, and they looked like a tired team playing against a red-hot team. The Ducks are on torrid pace right now. Shout out Anaheim. And then, they handled business against San Jose, who is a team that they've sneaky struggled against in the last couple of years. So you'll take it for what it is before losing a real paint-dry contest to Vegas, 1-0. Overall, I kind of stick to what I said before. This result was pretty expected for Detroit. Like, I don't think they overperformed in any game. Like, I think that they were very much ho-hum this week. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, Detroit has given themselves a cushion where more average weeks are okay. And, they beat a couple decent teams. They beat LA and St. Louis, and they lost to two pretty decent teams in their own right, two pretty hot teams right now. So yeah, like I'm not too sad with the result. I mean, we'll get into the things that I think need improvement and what's trending up and down in just a second. But in terms of the scoreboard, the Red Wings go 3-2, the over 500. That's a positive result, and they'll absolutely take that. The Atlantic is still a slugfest. So really, them just kind of holding their ground is a big deal. I don't expect them to stay second in the Atlantic all year, but the longer you stay up there, it's just about building that cushion for, Tampa right now is getting hotter and Toronto starting to find their game. You're kind of biding time up here, and you're absolutely going to take that for what it is. I mean, Habs are playing fantastic hockey right now, so I don't think you're passing them anytime soon. My own mustache is distracting me in the recording. I think I am going to shave this. You can tell this is an off week, but like you really just want to give yourself a chance to get into the playoffs. Like 2 years ago, I think is kind of the scapegoat for Red Wings fans right now, where you point to that and it's the most available heuristic for us. And you miss on a tiebreaker, and you think about where might one more point be helpful? Where might one more point be helpful? You've given yourself that like 6 to 8 point cushion now, where in March, it's not going to be, hopefully not going to be that 1 point that screws you up. You can afford to lose 2 or 3 games in a row and not have that be the end of the world, where later into the playoff race a couple of years ago, it has been. Now, if they do something like lose 9 out of 12 in regulation again, then they'll probably miss the playoffs. But I think if they played steady, but even like declining hockey in the month of March, as long as they don't go on like an absolute bender of losing games, it's a good start, and they're continuing to give themselves a chance. I mean, they haven't had the easiest strength of schedule. This coming week is an easier one. I mean, you play a struggling Rangers teams a couple times. I believe you're back against Anaheim, which is not an easy game by any means, but a team that's kind of in your weight class. Um, Detroit kind of gets the punch down this week a little bit, which is good news. And they're also back at home where they've been much better. You're happy with it. You're happy with the scoreboard results. So that's my quick game recap before I get into some trends and players and things to keep watch of as we kind of keep going. So I'll get into that right now. We don't have segment breaks, which episode 4. We don't have segment breaks, so there's nothing to really split my talking. Troy needs a save right now. I mean, John Gibson just played a pretty solid game out in Vegas. But largely, Detroit still needs stops. If you look at their PDO on Money Puck, they're among the worst in the NHL. For those of you who are not advanced stat nerds or don't really keep up with that because it's an odd thing to do. PDO is essentially your luck factor. It's save percentage plus shooting percentage. So league average is about 1,000, and Detroit is well below that. Last I checked, they were among the bottom teams in the league. And it kind of shows, right? Like I feel like Detroit's really getting like their shooting percentage isn't great. I feel like it's taking them 20 to 30 shots to get a couple goals in on a goalie. And part of that is a power play, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And just the goaltending. I mean, in the games, you don't really notice it. Like, I don't think John Gibson or Kim Talbot have been explicitly bad. Like, they've had some bad moments. I definitely wouldn't blame any of the games that they've lost on them, but there are certainly moments where you want a save or two from them, and they really haven't given it to you. They're among one of the worst goalie rooms in the NHL. I believe they're second to last in terms of combined save percentage. Obviously, again, Gibson just played fantastic. It's still early in the season; those numbers fluctuate. Because of Gibson's game, they might have actually made up some ground there. But largely, like, especially when you bring in John Gibson and you're paying him the bag that you're giving him, you would hope that you would have better goaltending. And with Gibson specifically, like, it kind of feels touch and go a little bit. Like, he'll give you great games. Like, the Tampa game was great. This game out in Vegas certainly wasn't on him. But then he'll kind of get shelled. You think about the Montreal game, even Anaheim wasn't a great showing from him. He kind of seems run hot, which is unfortunate because you wanted a steady goaltender in Detroit because that's what you haven't had. You've had run hot goaltenders. You've had, Alex Lyon be able to run hot, and you've had even James Reimer for stretches pick up a couple shutouts, and Ville Husso. On top of that, Cam Talbot has kind of been the epitome of a run hot goalie, even down to the start of this season. It's very much what this team has had in terms of goaltending and what they're kind of looking to move off from by bringing in John Gibson. So as much as it's same old, you're more disappointed when it's Gibson because he was kind of promised to be better and you gave up a second round pick for him and you're paying him around $6.5 million. You want more from him. There's still time for him to turn around. And again, trending upwards based off this game alone, but the sample size needs to be bigger and they need to get some help. I made mention of it there. The power play, you can tell they're missing Patrick Kane. I do think Emmett Finney's facilitating and his vision of the ice is way better than I thought it would be at this point in his career. Like, he very much seems to, if not get the pass through, direct plays to the right areas that you wouldn't expect a rookie to go see. Like, especially in the Vegas game, there was a couple of times where he would shovel a pass across ice and would hit a body or hit a stick. But it was the right play to make, and I think there's some value in that, especially when, you might watch some of the third or fourth line guys like Copacom for Michael Rasmussen be in that same position and kind of mess up. But, he's no Patrick Kane, and the power play is really feeling that. Like, I think the big thing is the puck carrying. Like, it's hard to quantify what's the biggest problem with the power play because it has been the resets when they lose the faceoff. Dylan Larkin is obviously a stellar faceoff guy, but he got caved against this Vegas team. Like Detroit was awful in the dots. When Detroit lost that faceoff, they very much struggled to get even one good look on the power play. Like even if it's just a shot into a body from a high danger area, they really struggle at getting that back. What Patrick Kane helps with is he is a fantastic puck carrier over the line. He's probably the second best player on this team. You could make a case for Moritz Seider at number 2. Him being the last guy to bring the puck in is a big part of helping reset. And the other thing that he does very well is he slows the game down. Detroit's getting flushed out on the power play a lot, and you see it very quickly. When the puck goes down low, when Detroit's basically not in control of the puck, they struggle to get it back because there's way too quickly beat to the puck. When they're scrambling, they get time and space taken away from them way too quickly. Patrick Kane, even at his age, is very good at making a quick pass, a quick, body fake to kind of get that time back and throw a defender off balance. It's a skill unique to Patrick Kane. Believe me, there's very few players in hockey history that can do that as well as Patrick Kane can. This is not me saying like Lucas Raymond needs to become that, but they are missing it severely right now. They've tried some different things on the power play. I do want to see just the 2 defensemen up there. I want to see ASP and Seider, just because I think you're kind of square peg round hole right now. Like that power play top unit works so well because Patrick Kane is up there. Without him, just trying to put Emmett Finney in the Patrick Kane role probably won't translate to the same success. I'd like to just see them try a new system. But again, me saying this now, it's pretty much too late. And Patrick Kane is rumored to be back around the end of this week. It's already Tuesday. He very much could be back for the next game. He was supposed to be back for the San Jose game, according to some whispers I had heard. But yeah, overall, the power play has been very underwhelming. I mean, struggled in this Vegas game 0 for 2, which wouldn't be terrible if they had some good looks and they didn't. I think when Kane is out, Kane, Raymond, Larkin, if one of the big guys go out, I think you kind of need to understand that you can't replace what they are internally, and it might be a new system kind of thing. So that's goaltending. That's the power play. I wanted to talk a little bit more about the middle six. And again, I know Patrick Kane is also a big part of this. The middle six has been underwhelming this week, where last week I thought they played really well. Jonathan Berggren, I gave a lot of praise to last week because he was pretty much a point per game. He has not picked up a point this week. I don't know what's going on because I feel like I see Kopp and Comfort get a lot of good looks. But I feel like I'm kind of never, looking for a goal to go in when they're on the ice. They're good at extending possessions, which is fun. But more so the second line kind of has been bothering me. And again, don't get me wrong. I appreciate what Mason Appleton is doing on the second line. He is out of his depths. He is a bottom 6 player pretty much to the core, and he does that well. But he is giving that middle 6 some life. He is skating. Again, extending possessions is a big thing for this team. They don't have a lot of good puck control. They don't have a lot of guys who have been successful at making those little plays to get the puck back to the blue line to, again, extend possession. Appleton's done fine. But, Casper has had a really poor season offensively, and he's one of those guys that I didn't think would have a sophomore slump just because he kind of plays a very physical style. And, your shot isn't really something that you lose in the second year. It's kind of more that you kind of get space taken away from you because teams game plan for you. So they kind of shut down your seams or shut down your space on the ice. Casper is always good at getting to the soft areas, which are kind of universal. He's not doing that anymore. His board play looks worse. His stick tension noticeably looks worse. He's struggling in puck battles. When his Corsi 4 looks good, you don't really notice it because of him, but when he looks bad, you feel it. Casper needs to kind of come into his own here, and it's kind of harming DeBrincat a little bit. He's kind of been streaky as ever. Last year, I think he was consistent, which was a big part of his game. This year, he's kind of been on and off, and Patrick Kane coming back will kind of fix both of those things on top of the power play. But again, for right now, like you kind of look at the third line. I don't know what this weird like we need to play Cup and Confer together thing is. I mean, they're both centers. They kind of seem to be like the coaching staff has like a match made in heaven thing going on for them that I just simply don't see. And I don't know why that is. They're both good defensive forwards. Like I will absolutely give them that. They both give a serious effort on defense. They're again, stick tension is great. They're good at deflecting pucks and chipping possession, getting it up ice. They're good at forechecking. They're good at finding Jonathan Berggren, who I think has been a seamless fit on that line, and I will continue to push for him in a bottom six role. I think he has been solid. Um, but again, they're kind of a line that says nothing's happening. The fourth line, I think, has been much improved in that sense. Like I think that I'm actually seeing some real looks from them. Elmer Soderblom is really starting to solidify himself as a depth piece. I've loved James Van Riemsdyk's game, but they kind of need a bit better of a facilitator in the bottom six, which you'd hope Bergie could be, but Bergie kind of has to be spark plug where he's kind of scoring too rather than just facilitating the puck. I've kind of browsed on some other teams to look at some maybe potential trade options. I think Max Domi's one on Toronto. If they look to move off of him, I think I'd be very interested in him. It kind of seems like they're waiting for someone to come back, like Kane coming back, and then hopefully Danielson comes up, and maybe it's Mazer. But right now, I think that the jury's out in this bottom six. That it does kind of need some external help to get going to be NHL average. Because scoring, I think, is still a problem for this team, as solid as they've been at getting the goals. They're never really comfortable in games. I think that like their defense has been much improved and their goaltending can kind of make up for the lapses. But don't get me wrong, they're very much in every game, and so is the other team. Basically, aside from a couple blowouts, like the blowout loss in Montreal and the blowout loss against the Islanders for some reason. How that loss was that bad, I have no clue to this day. Minus the blowouts, Detroit's been pretty much neck and neck in every game. Like Vegas, they lose by the skin of their teeth. LA, though, they pull out a win barely. They pretty much come back from the dead. They cheat death to win that game on a coach's challenge. But then you play a team like, Buffalo or San Jose, and it's 50-50 largely. And you're like, okay, like San Jose, you'd hope that you can kind of win by 2 or 3 and kind of pad the stats, get the confidence going, let the depth scoring feel themselves out. It goes to shootout. It's not that there's problems with that kind of style of play, but you kind of get the sense that it's wearing on everybody. You play different hockey when you're up a couple goals, and I think that's something that maybe gets glossed over because, like, a big thing I'll see in Red Wings discourse is like they'll be losing like 5-2 after like the first two periods, and then they'll like play better in the third and they'll control possession more. And it's like, yeah, because the other team's just like dumping and chasing, and their fourth line played 8 minutes. Like, you're getting rest, and this is an Olympic year. These players are going to play huge minutes, and they're going to be serving their country in a very competitive tournament. If Four Nations was a glimpse of anything that's to come, and the Olympics, believe me, will be bigger stakes than that. You take as much rest as you can get, and that rest can include in the game. An extra goal or two goes a long way. And when those goals come matters too. Another thing I wanted to talk about was that opening scoring. In pretty much every game this week, except for, I think, San Jose, they've given up the first goal. They gave up an early one to St. Louis. They gave up a shorthanded goal to start the game to LA, and then followed up with a shorthanded goal against Anaheim. They strike first against San Jose, which was nice, but then Vegas scores the first and only goal, albeit pretty much at the end of the game. Detroit, it's not like they've cared much about trailing. Like, they've been plenty competent at getting the lead back and tying games and, doing that. But again, it's about how much you're pushing yourself, and you have players that aren't injury prone, but have shown signs of exhaustion. throughout their careers. Like Mo Sider, when he gets gets burnt out. Same with Simon Edvinson last year. Simon Edvinson now might be burnt out. You're really seeing some lax play from him. Dylan Larkin, you've seen it. Lucas Raymond, you've seen it. You've certainly seen it with a guy like Patrick Kane when he doesn't want to play. An early goal kind of gives you that boost, gives you that energy where you don't have to drag and scrape and you can take a breath a little bit more. And again, it seems like I'm kind of overblowing this because you're like, yeah, it's 20 games in the season. Not even 20 games, like 10 games into the season. They should be rested, whatever. I get it. It's one of those things where they're in competitive games now, but this has kind of been the problem the last couple of years. The cracks show when they're winning. Their goaltending is too hot. The power play is too hot. The 5-on-5 scoring isn't there. They're giving up early goals. Teams are getting to the soft areas. The penalty kills getting exposed. Even when they're winning, the cracks are there. They're just covered up by such high highs. Last year, you saw with the goaltending at the start of the year. Later on, you saw with how hot the power play got. You could even argue at the start of this year, it was Dylan Larkin was just so hot that he was willing Detroit through games anyways. You can't bank on that. You want to see consistent 60-minute hockey from everybody. And even if it's not that, you want to see things that don't jump off the page. The slow starts jump off the page. They're one of the worst teams in the NHL in terms of first period goals. That's a concern. That's a way that you can get, like, I was going to say snuffed out of games early. I don't know why I stuttered. I was stuck between that and sucker punched. Effectively the same thing. That's how you get sucker punched. And, you kind of saw it in a couple of their losses. Like the Islanders game comes to mind. You get punched in the mouth early, and it's a slog to get back from that until it's out of reach. You are worried about it because it's a story you've seen before. And I'm not trying to sit here and, sell you sadness because I don't believe that this start has been bad. I think that there is plenty to be happy about the way that this team's playing. I just think that this is a fan base and this is a franchise that has seen these losses time and time again. And, especially down to the way that they're losing. I worry that this team kind of hasn't changed in terms of their identity, if you can say that they have one. I think this team does still struggle at 5-on-5 scoring. I think this team can still struggle massively offensively, despite having pieces solely there for offense. Like you look on pretty much each line, you have guys who should be producing offensively. Like JVR is on that fourth line for offense. Make no mistake. Berggren's on that third line for offense. Make no mistake. Kane on the second line. Cat on the second line. And even like Larkin and Raymond on the first line. You have offense everywhere in this lineup. You need to start putting it on the scoreboard. You can't just ask Dylan Larkin to get 2 to 3 points every game and try to buck you through games. I love Dylan Larkin. He is not a 100-point MVP caliber player. I'd love him to be. If you give him an elite left winger, he might be. But right now, he's not. And I think you need to start understanding what play like this means in the long term and not be upset with the way that they've started, but understand that there is still a lot to work on and that you can be conscientious of the shortcomings without underselling how good the team has been to start, because the start has been good. They lost tonight in Vegas. I don't have too many notes on that. I mean, like you were kind of outclassed by a better team. Could the offense have come alive? Yeah. Could the power play have been better? Yeah. But your defense and goaltending were okay. Like you kind of kept it close. Last thing I want to touch on before I get to my closing segment here, and hopefully end on a bit of a lighter note, a little bit more positivity. I just think this was a pretty business as usual week. The losses were predictable and the wins were against teams that you would kind of hope Detroit would have at this point in the rebuild. This is year 2 where pulling the goalie at the end of the game has done nothing for Detroit. What is it with that, right? If you look online last year on the official NHL site, you can see that Detroit had 2 goals with the goalie pulled. I don't know where those are because last year I did like a manual search through all the games. I didn't find any. I don't think Detroit scored with their goalie out last year. And if they did, it was towards the very end of the season. Like I'm talking like I did this in like game 75 kind of thing. Detroit really needs to start scoring with the goalie pulled. I'm not saying every time. I'm not saying you have to have a 100% conversion rate, but like it's damn near, if not zero, over 2 seasons. That can't happen. You need to be better with that. Like you are so good on the power play, and you've been so good on the power play for 3 to 4 years now. Why are you not good with the extra attacker? I get it, 6-on-5 is different, but a guy like James Van Riemsdyk should give you plenty of help. I don't understand why this team cannot seem to tie a game. You look across the NHL, and the one team that stands out to me most doing this is look at the way that Montreal is winning their games. This is not Montreal hate speech, and I do hate Montreal, don't get me wrong. A lot of their games are being pushed to overtime and won there, one way or another. Montreal has done a very good job at guaranteeing the extra point and being good enough to win in overtime. Detroit has not been very good in overtime. They've been fantastic in the shootout over the last couple of years. You kind of look at this team and you go, you can squeeze out a point here. This Vegas game was one where I kind of looked at this and I was like, I could see them squeezing out a point. They didn't ultimately. But in a 1-goal game like that, where the other team is ultra defensive, you hope with the extra attacker, so you'll get a lucky bounce and you'll punch one in, or you hope that principle stands against Anaheim. You punch one in there and force overtime. Those kind of games, you hope for that extra goal because again, those 3-4 points at the end of the season, they stack up. 2 years ago, you saw that Detroit was great at forcing overtime. I mean, they won a lot of games from it. You think about that huge Lucas Raymond off the pads goal against Columbus where Kane got the extra point in overtime. There are plenty of examples. I mean, hell, I missed the most obvious Lucas Raymond one, the Montreal one. That kind of stuff. Like those points add up. They're points all the same. Scoring with the goalie pulled is absolutely a skill. It's absolutely unlikely. It's not something I'm asking them to do every time. But you see a team like LA pot 2 against you to grab the 1 point, nearly 2. You kind of hope that you're going to start doing that at some point too, and they just haven't over the course of 2 years. So, yeah, that's my wrap on the things to kind of be worried about before heading into next week and keeping your eye on it for the rest of the season. This week, I'll get into my MVPs. We'll do one from each position. This was more of a showless thing, admittedly. Like I kind of just want to do 1 week MVP. Ironically, Detroit is like functionally rolling 2 goalies though, so I'll like legitimately let it be fine. For forward of the week, I'm gonna go with Lucas Raymond. I know Alex DeBrincat has been a little bit hotter, but I think Lucas Raymond is back to what I saw from Lucas Raymond last year, where I was like, should have got a point there. Should have got a point there. Should have got a point. Like everybody else is kind of messing up the play a little bit. Like very much like passes that should lead to goals kind of don't happen. Like you saw it in the Vegas game. He made a beautiful seam pass to Dylan Larkin, who just couldn't pick the corner. He rang a post in the game too. Lucas Raymond is back to form. You could tell he was kind of battling injury when he first came back. He's back to form and continue to expect great things from him. He had some beautiful plays. The most notable one was that absolute gorgeous goal against San Jose. If you're a highlights person, that is certainly one you've seen. And as for defensemen, I'm going to give it to Moritz Seider, who's found his offense a little bit, which is good. That was my main gripe against him. I know some people like to get on people's ass when they say that, not me specifically, but I've heard my fair share of it too. When I've wanted Moritz Seider to be a super offensive defenseman, people are like, that's not his game. He plays a defensive style. You can do both. You're running a freaking 30% power play. You should be a 60-point defenseman. Is that kind of out of the realm of possibility right now? Yes, I don't think Moritz Seider will ever hit that. He's going to continue to be a 30 to 40-point defenseman, and that's fine. But, in seasons past, I was really hoping for that 65 kind of points thing, kind of like what Jake Sanderson did and is continuing to do. Don't get me wrong, Seider's still a very good defenseman. I just don't know that he's kind of the cream of the crop like some of the other two-way defensemen are because, I think the NHL is at a point where you got to be dynamic in both zones. I don't fall for Jacob Slavin propaganda. People are like, he's a top 5 defenseman. Calm down. Sider's fantastic defensively. There are a lot of fantastic defensive defensemen in this league, and the elite ones are dynamic in both ends. Sider shows flashes, but ultimately, I want more out of him. This week, he started getting there. You hope he can still end up around that 50-point mark, hopefully break that rookie total. But yeah, he did a good job this week. He had a couple game point streak going. He got a goal disallowed, which was really unfortunate. That was not a kicking motion. Again, I won't hear it, but Detroit got plenty lucky with calls in their own right. So I'll give the NHL one of their challenges back. And yeah, as for goaltenders, I'll go to Cam Talbot. He had he had all 3 wins, or at least 2 of them. John Gibson had both losses. I do think he played very well in Vegas, but ultimately he got shelled against Anaheim. Shelled is a strong word. He lost against Anaheim. He got plenty of goals scored on him. And then Vegas did well, but ultimately lost. Cam Talbot, again, kind of the de facto guy. He's been steady. I really like what I've seen from Cam Talbot. If Detroit is in the playoff race, you can absolutely trust him to take on a couple games. And if Detroit falls out of the playoff race, believe me, there is a team who will pay some assets for his services at the deadline. He's a guy that it's unfortunately probably going to be his last year in Detroit, but he's had a very good tenure with the team. And I don't think any Red Wings fan is complaining about what Talbot's done for them on the contract he's on. So I've been more than happy with him this week and more than happy with him on the season. I gave one from each position. I had to remember quickly. Yeah, this is our flash episode. We'll be back to regular scheduled programming. You'll get this next episode this week. My voice is going. Sorry, guys. You'll get the regularly scheduled episode on Sunday or Monday. It'll come out. And then, we'll be back with all of our hosts, all of our games. For all of you who do keep up with my writing, more of it will be out. I'm just swamped with midterms. I was super busy on Halloween. I have just been packed to the brim here these last couple of weeks. And after this Friday, it should ease up a little bit, I would hope. But, uni student. So I'm doing my best. I will do better to promote the show on the Twitter. I'll put more clips up on YouTube. I'll try my best to make sure you guys are getting content. The post-game recaps, those will come back, I promise. I'm just, again, super busy. They will also be of higher quality as they go on. I'm figuring it out too. Right? It's a learning experience. For any of those that have stuck with us, and there has been a couple, I do want to sincerely thank you for listening. This is something that I have so much fun doing. I love being on here, even when it's busy. I love making time for this. I love talking Detroit. And you can always reach out to me. You got the Kicking Tires social. I'm on YouTube. We respond to absolutely everything. And for all your precious minutes that you spend with us, we are super, super grateful. So thank you from just me today, but all 3 of us when we're all back at full strength. And hopefully we see you again soon. Hopefully the Red Wings keep playing well and, signing off, I guess. Yeah, we're terrible at outros, but that is something we'll improve on too. Ciao, and I love you all very, very much.